George says this. Is it a coincidence that England's best performances, brackets Serbia and Wales, have been without Jude Bellingham, Cole Palmer and Phil Foden? Is our team, yes, George, King George I'm going to call him, is our team more balanced without forcing two or even all three into it? Vish, I'd like you to go first, please.
I think this question is putting too much on what's happened so far.
Is it knee-jerky? Are you saying King George is knee-jerky?
Not knee-jerky, but there's never been a situation where England have tried to force those three players in. But I take the point of trying to force more creative players than there are spaces for those kind of off-the-cuff creative players into a team.
He's harking back to Euro 2024 with Foden on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but even then, Foden, that felt like a sensible thing to do.
Because he'd played there a lot for Man City.
Yeah,
but quite clearly, it wasn't working as the tournament went on.
And it's also hard, for me anyway, to take too much out of this qualification campaign because England don't struggle during qualification campaigns. He mentions the Serbia and Wales games there, or rather, we've mentioned them as the best performances. Wales are 30th in the world, Serbia 34th.
England beat them 3-0 at the World Cup only a few years ago.
The thing I will say, though, is that we always talk about England's squad depth because of, I suppose, name recognition when an England squad drops. Mm-hmm. And it's often been the case that, say, like in a previous era, someone like Elliot Anderson will have a deserved call-up and not see any minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it would be like, right, we've got one through the door, but what tangibly is he going to get from this particular camp?
He's not getting a taste of the biscuit. He's getting a smell of the biscuit.
Yeah. You can see us open the packet if you want.
Yeah.
You can't get in.
Give him a nibble.
But you basically end up in a situation where you get these players who've been called up consistently but have very little England experience on the field itself. And I appreciate players have got the opportunity to have that experience through injury more than anything else. But what happens with, say, someone like Bellingham, I think, is that when he does get recalled and comes back into the 11, he will come in with a much cleaner brief for him because this system at the moment is working quite nicely. And it's not limiting, to my mind, the creativity that England possess with the players they have now and the players that might come into that system.
Yes, I think that's well said. Jim, would you agree or strongly disagree with Vish there?
No, I agree that I think what we're seeing is the blueprint of how England will set up in the World Cup, provided we get there, which I think we all would be very surprised if we don't at this point.
You don't need to put that
and
caveat
it won't necessarily be this exact kind of group of players. And I think Morgan Rogers in particular is kind of sat in the Bellingham role at the moment. And I think that the point is interesting though. I think, what we've seen against Serbia and Wales makes a sort of compelling point for balance, doesn't it? Because we've seen so many managers crowbar creative players into positions that aren't quite their own, which just upsets absolutely everything in it. Tuchel obviously has this one and done remit where he actually doesn't really need to or seem to care too much about what the press think, or he doesn't mind saying that Wembley was too quiet. Can you turn it up a bit? A lot of these things that might actually be very difficult for an English manager to do, he can do, and he's doing so with aplomb. And I think actually there is a real possibility that come the World Cup, you don't start Cole Palmer or Phil Foden, and that's just that, because it's going to be about the balance of the team being right, and it looks like we're going in the right direction on that front. And I mentioned yesterday on the Monday show that the conditions are going to mean that we need to use the bench sensibly and probably very kind of deliberately. I imagine there will be sort of planned substitutions that will happen to deal with the heat, and bringing Bellingham off for Palmer or possibly Foden is a weapon, is an asset, and we should use it and not kind of waste it all at once. I do wonder with Phil Foden if this might end up being a sort of bit of a developing situation, because he's fully fit and he's playing very well, whereas Jude Bellingham has only played 5 games this season, so it's maybe understandable that you might kind of give him a little bit of time off. But with Foden, it's a bit of a strange one to not include him for me. And if it happens in the next squad, that might be something we go, perhaps Tuchel just isn't sure about him. And, looking around the squad, everybody is there on merit as well, but that it's a funny one for me. I think he's very much earned a place there.
Well, it's not utterly inconceivable to think that Foden could be a big name casualty when it comes to picking the squad of the World Cup next year. I know that people go, come on, don't be ridiculous, but This is the point of sort of the essence, if you like, of King George's question, that you have to, you've got to name a starting 11, and sometimes we can get a little bit too obsessed with the starting 11 because, as you say, you do have a bench there. The starting 11 is still very important, of course. You've got the bench, you've got a squad. You also need other positions where you need cover and whatnot. So, will Jack Grealish fight his way into the side? Some people will think yes, some people think, don't need him or no. Will Marcus Rashford make it? There's a lot of names there. I know these players play different positions and so on. So I of those three players that George has mentioned there, I think you're looking at that. You can't conceivably think that Jude Bellingham, all being well, all being fit, doesn't make the England squad. I would say the same for Cole Palmer. A lot of people would say the same for Phil Foden. He would be the one, but that's speculation at the moment. So perhaps we shouldn't go down that road too much. But with regard to the team, Vish, Jim's mentioned about the substitutes there. There's no team in world football that would want to see the opposition bringing on Jude Bellingham after 60 minutes. A very, very hungry and angry Jude Bellingham for the last half an hour or whatever of a game.
No, but
or Cole Palmer.
But there'll be a lot of teams very happy that he's not starting.
Well, indeed. Well, okay, so
Jude Bellingham in particular. I mean, that's
okay. I suppose. Yeah, I mean, you've thrown that back at me there, and I think actually that is a fair point.
The thing I'd say about Bellingham, not the only real barrier that I see at the moment, and it's not so much a barrier, but something to address or talk about. I feel like I read so much football now that I can't not talk in really severe terms, but. Because Bellingham's not been in the squad, it's been really interesting seeing Declan Rice play his Arsenal role fully.
Yes. That's what Anderson lets him do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Even though Anderson, again, has a bit more to his game, but clearly the two of them are in there.
Yeah. Because if you look at Anderson at Forest, he likes moving a bit further forward because Forest often play an actual, a sweeping holding midfielder alongside him. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens there because the principle of a Bellingham, Anderson, Rice midfield is wonderful.
It is.
There's a lot of power in that.
There is. There's a lot of everything in it, but you need someone to give up something. And so who ends up giving up something?
But do you think Bellingham, do you think that is his best position? I mean, I know he sort of excelled in particular that first sort of part, if you like, of his Real Madrid career. But one might say that Cole Palmer, for example, is, I know, off the right. He's not going to start on the right. That is Saka's position for me. I appreciate one or two people might disagree with that, but I think the general feel I get is that's where Saka's going to be. I wonder with Palmer and maybe even Foden that they are naturally more that sort of, if you like, sort of number 10 type player than Bellingham. Because if you remember with Bellingham,
I'd agree with that.
Because Bellingham, it's a slightly different type of midfield structure if you've got the three in there. With Bellingham, he can do it. We've seen him do it to aplomb as well.
But do you think that's kind of what I mean? I feel like for a major tournament, with the degree of conservatism you do need,
yes,
Bellingham is a better fit for that.
And I know, it does depend on the opposition, but you wouldn't have thought starting 11s would differ that wildly, I suppose.
No, but then you mentioned there about bringing someone on after an hour, so
yeah.
If England are chasing the game and they need to make that substitution, I feel like the substitution they make is if Anderson is Anderson for Palmer or Foden, and then everyone shifts one down.
I think if in specific scenarios, because I always felt that I know a lot of people said no, but Rice and Bellingham, because of Bellingham's previous, Jimmy, could play a little bit further back,
and then you have Foden or Palmer in front.
Exactly, but just
no England manager seems to like it as an idea, though, do they?
No,
so there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah, and we know that England have always, especially when they play against some of the bigger teams, and even not always against the big teams, say a side like Croatia or whatever, it's that keeping the ball. It's still not fully seeped into English football and culture yet. Perhaps in 10 years, I don't know, whatever. It's there, you can see the improvement. So I think Vish is right when he says that just degree of conservatism that you need in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly when you get into the knockout stages. You need to have that kind of built-in safety net, don't you? So Tuchel was actually asked directly about whether he could imagine putting Bellingham, Foden and Palmer on the bench at the World Cup. And I loved his answer, actually. He said, you think too much, You imagine too much. I'm sorry, but I don't follow that mindset. With all of this, I would say, let's cross the river when we are at the river. It does not help anyone if we think in bubbles about what can happen and about what cannot happen. So he's basically saying there's too many podcasts. Despite that, do sign up for the Football Ramble Patreon. Otherwise, it's all just a lot of noise.
Yeah, should we move on then? Well, but he is right. So again, we can scrutinise this and say it does depend on.
It's only going to get him into trouble, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And it doesn't really matter if it gets him into a situation where we're having a go at him, or the media's having a go at him. He has had to tread a very careful line with a number of those players, Bellingham in particular, but also with Foden and like the comments about Grealish, for example.
Yeah.
And it gives him, there's no benefit in talking, as Jim's said there with those quotes, this far ahead of time.
Yeah, he's being very eloquent and very skilled when he's talking to the media. We saw this for very different reasons at a time when he was at Chelsea, with all the stuff that was going on with Abramovich and so on. That's where you saw Tuchel really, if you like, perform very well in front of the media. If you remember, he came across quite statesmanlike and very admirable, I think, from off the top of my head, in what was quite a difficult time, especially to get the tone and the stuff coming out of your mouth right about a very sort of specific and contentious situation. So that's good that he's carrying that on, because as we know, England is one of those countries where the press can be like a pack of wolves. They are like a pack of wolves and so on. We're not alone in that. But I think he's getting the balance right, certainly in front of the media, which hopefully bodes well, or however important that is. I think he's doing it. But yes, I think we can scrutinise this all day long. Also, as well, just to finish on this question, I think that if he was to sort of rip Morgan Rogers out of the team and go, yeah, what you did there doesn't really matter, I quite liked, actually, in hindsight, that he kind of carried on and went, you know what? If you are playing really well on merit and you're doing well, then fine, we'll give you a go.
Yeah.
Love it. Vish, you got the next question.
Yeah, and it's England as well, so you'll love this. It comes from Chris on Instagram. It feels like there are 5 nailed-on starters for me, if they're all fit. Jordan Pickford, Marc Guehi, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, and Harry Kane. That's a good spine, but the second centre-half feels like such a big unknown right now. That pairing has picked itself previously, particularly under Southgate, for the Harry Maguire, John Stones era. Who do you think complements Guehi at the moment?
I mean, it's John Stones.
It is,
yeah. It is. He's the best. He is the best defender England have. And I think he's the best defender England have had for many years. I don't think England have had too many brilliant centre-halves, which is why Southgate, certainly at the start of his time, went for a back three. But he is easily the most experienced. He was there in the Euros. Him and Guehi played together at the Euros. He's a threat in the air for set pieces as well. It's a bit, I know that's a bit of a boring answer, but
he's a lovely ball player at the moment as well.
Yeah, exactly. And when Chris sort of mentioned those players, I agree with every single one of them. And John Stones, to me, they are all the starters.
Sure. So the issue with Stones is that he only managed 20 games last season, and obviously he's spoken about his frustrations about that recently. And we all hope that he can stay fit this season and kind of have the availability that comes with his ability, because he'll probably walk into the team if he has a season like that.
All being well, he's fit and firing. He's a starter for you, Jim.
I really rate Ezri Konsa. So I would consider Konsa at the moment
Stones.
Because of the fitness issues.
No, but I'm saying, but if
they're both fit and firing, I think it's pretty close actually.
Really?
Because he's very, very physical, very powerful. He's another good ball playing centre back, and I think he's played very well when he has played for England. If you judge him on his England performances alone, he's such a solid option that I don't think there's actually that much between them.
Okay,
I think we're actually in a healthier position than the question suggests.
Possibly.
Because those three players are very, very good in any combination.
Oh, Konsa to me is in the squad, and he probably is third choice centre half. So I don't think I think your opinion is you've showed your workings there. I get it, but I just for me, like I don't think, Vish, there's any question that Stones is. I think he's the number one starting centre half. I think Guehi is number two. Then obviously you need two of them. So we're not going crazy. And I agree that Konsa's a good player, and I think he's a handy player for England to have. But yeah, for me, it's Guehi and Stones. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't see far beyond that. I did, give myself a moment yesterday where I dreamt of a different timeline where Jared Branthwaite is Jared Branthwaite.
Yep.
which is a shame. But obviously he's only 23 at the moment, but just like been a bit hampered with injuries and stuff. But yeah, I don't see that as an issue that needs to be addressed until, as Tuchel says, we get to the river and it's like, where's John Stones? Because
Who's been throwing stones in the river?
Yes, or skimming stones. Yeah, don't throw him though, because he's very old.
But he has such big tournament experience for England as well.
Which
He
is
does.
He is a
really
calm head
key.
in there.
Yeah, and he's calm on the field as well.
Yes.
I like the idea that he's lost. Do you remember really early on? I think maybe we talked about this quite recently, actually, with Stones, when Guardiola was making loads of excuses for him about
When he was making mistakes.
when he was making mistakes.
Yeah, he was going, I love this player and all that.
And it felt really over the top, but it was over the top because that's just how Guardiola operates. He was like, all your hate, I'm going to smother him with much more love. And there's almost a shield that the last thing I want him to think is that some of you are judging him for, misplacing a pass back to the goalkeeper.
Which he would do.
Yeah.
He had a rick in him, which seems crazy to think because it's been so long.
Yeah, but I suppose what that gives you is the experience of making those mistakes, not just learning from mistakes, but also not being fearful of them. And that's so important for England at major tournaments.
Yeah.
Because you need someone who's just going to strictly adhere to the plan and not be perturbed by things going slightly wrong.
Yeah.
One of the things England will always have to get over is the fact that we're English. And there is that chip on our shoulders about major tournaments not doing it. We saw it a little bit in...
Well, it's a monkey off the back. I wouldn't say it was a chip on the shoulder. More,
it still is, though. But I still... And this is being wise after the event, but I can still see that throwing in the final of Europe.
With Carl Walker throwing it back.
But it's just like, what's that for?
Yeah, especially now in the age of the long throw.
Yeah, exactly.
Which worked against Slovakia, by the way.
But you know exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And it's stuff like that, and you need more players who are conditioned against that, and to have a centre back who's as good as he is, who, as you say, has a tournament experience and just a life experience. I think it is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I would have him on those list of definites, but for, as Jim's articulated, the injury things.
I think as well, actually, his tournament experience will be absolutely key if he's available, because an inevitability of a tournament like this is that if you get into the knockout stages and you do well, you will play extra time at least once. Like we see it happen all the time, and he is exactly the sort of player who has been there and done it and can be a reference point for those who are perhaps kind of newer into the squad. Because actually, if you look around the squad, there are a lot of players who don't have a lot of caps, and it's easy to forget that because squads evolve, and we're all thinking, Elliot Anderson will probably be there, hopefully Adam Wharton will be there. They're really inexperienced. They seem like the obvious picks at the moment, but it's, us looking at them and imagining their kind of contribution to England is very different from their lived experience of it, and they need those reference points
Also,
around them.
He's a good penalty buddy.
Yes.
Was he Bukayo Saka's penalty buddy?
I think so.
Yeah.
He's also good at mugging other teams off when we've won a shootout.
Oh, what did he... Go
Remember
on.
the Colombia?
What did he do? I can't remember.
You don't remember that, do you?
What was he giving it to the Colombians?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Talk us through it.
Are you joking?
Yeah.
When England win...
I'm not joking.
When England win the penalty shootout,
Yeah.
obviously the whole line breaks and they run towards...
Yeah, I remember the pylon and all that.
But before the pylon, there's an angle from behind the Colombia line where he turns around and he just starts laying into him while sprinting in a different direction.
Really?
Yeah.
They were a bit dirty.
Yeah. It's a lovely... what joy I've brought to your life. in this
Yeah, I
moment.
can't believe I've missed an
I've
England
seen that,
moment
yeah.
there. Excellent stuff. If you don't remember the penalty buddy system, then
Big man, little man.
Yeah, exactly. No,
what they went
it's like you walk as far as you can with the penalty taker to give them that sort of emotional support.
And Pickford has the ball that he's taking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all very woke, Jim, isn't it? It's woke nonsense. All right, coming up after this, your responses to the Knockout World Cup idea. Now then, if you remember on a previous mailbag, we had a suggestion from Dan for a full Knockout World Cup draw, which has caught the imagination, I think, of the Ramble faithful.
We should probably sort of reiterate what that is. Essentially, just every nation, knockout, off you go.
Yeah, like basically the World Cup becomes like the FA Cup or any other domestic kind of cup like that. No two legs in the semi-finals, though. Up yours, Carabao. Now, Hull Monster did the maths. And Hull Monster said this: 211 nations. That is the current FIFA roster. He said the top 45 nations get a bye from the first round, with the other 166 playing. Then 83 winners in the top 45 meet for the second round, making up 128 nations. So it's the second round proper.
Yeah.
64 move into the third round, and so on from there. Maximum number of 8 games to win the whole thing. So there's an ounce of clarity, if you like, because we were saying, how many games? This is ridiculous. 8 games? It's similar to the real thing, of course. John got in touch and said, I'm from Mozambique and there's absolutely no fucking chance of us qualifying for anything. So presumably John's on board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get the beak in there, Vish.
It's a lot of daily shows, though, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it already is, though, isn't it?
I was going to say.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we wouldn't bother with the first round, would we?
Give us 3 rings when it's in the proper bit.
Has this convinced you anymore, Jim? Because oddly, I think I'm like 2% more convinced. I've still got a long way to go to get to 51%.
Yeah, I would. I cannot deny that this would be an absolutely entertaining tournament. Hypothetically, I would love to see what this sort of thing is, but saying stuff like that is how you end up with the Club World Cup. So maybe we shouldn't encourage it too much.
Yeah, Vish is he's not having any of it.
No, it feels very Running Man, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, so what happens if you go outside the bounds of the stadium? Okay. Now, Duncan, in among all this World Cup knockout nonsense, reminded us that the unofficial Football World Championships, which traces the winner back from the very first international, is currently saying that the holders, incredibly, are Kosovo, having beaten Sweden 2-0 back in September.
Yeah.
It's a lovely little thing. This.
Should there be an extra World Cup spot kind of put aside for whoever that is?
Should you get a
proper
medal?
wild
Like a
card?
Money in the Bank
If you've
thing?
not qualified, then in you go.
You should get like what do you call those little triangle things that they not like a pension or whatever,
the things they give out
when they swap.
They are called pendants, aren't they?
Pendants, yeah, not a pension. Sorry, yeah, pendant.
Oh, I see. Oh, yes, when you hand it over at kickoff. Yeah.
Surely
before
you should have one if you're the unofficial.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you get something because you can't have like a thing on the kit.
And you have to take it down to FIFA House and cash it in.
Yeah.
You can see they're in there because it's a big glass building.
No, you don't cash it in, Jim. You have it, and then when you lose it, you're like, all right, fine.
No, but if you have it when at a certain time,
right,
you can use it to qualify for the World Cup at the expense of, let's say, a team of your choice.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You just refuse to play friendlies, wouldn't you?
No, you can't. You can't do that. Otherwise, it gets taken off you.
Okay, fine.
I mean, it is essentially. It's a bit like the Jack's Encyclopedia or the My Brilliant Lineal Champion. It is the lineal champion of football.
Yes, yeah,
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So Kosovo are currently the unofficial football world champions, or the lineal world football champions, I would like to say. So they're the team to beat, everybody.
Friend of the Ramble, Catherine, has been in touch on Discord, and continuing our musical theme, Catherine asks, if every country at the World Cup had a song play when they score, a la the Can playing every time Bayern Munich score, what song are you choosing for England, plus any other countries you want to add?
Oh, that's good.
Sweet Caroline. I think you can't have you're 4-0 down and then you get one back. You can't have it. It has to be specific moments in games, surely.
No, I don't know. How do Bayern do it? If they're very rarely 4-0 down. Maybe they don't know.
Yeah, they're not doing it when, let's say they pull a goal back against Real Madrid in the semi-finals.
No,
of the Champions
probably
League
not. Regardless of that, I guess, each country will make their own decisions on that. I think for me, the essence of why the Can is so funny is the sort of how clownish it makes the opposition look. So I think for England, it's got to be the Benny Hill theme, right?
Yeah, I like that.
We are running rings around you.
Yeah, that's good. Or Match of the Day theme tune.
That's quite smug. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Do you know what? I did think, though, that, that song by... It's called Hold On, I'm Coming. It's often played in da 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 da.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on,
Yeah,
I'm coming. Is it Sam and Dave or something?
Don't know.
They sung Soul Man as well.
Yeah.
Legendary artists. I should know that. If you do pull one back, Hold On, I'm coming.
Oh, so we got a set list.
Different songs,
different
different
Imagine
scenarios.
that. England score and they say 2-0 down. They get one. Da 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 da. We're like, here we go. Come on.
Yeah, nice.
Reeling them in.
Nice.
That would be good.
I
That'd be very
got
good.
Cella Luna for Italy.
Which one?
It's a very... It might be offensive, but I don't think it is. But it's a very... It's a very enjoyable song.
If there's one thing that you should do in this current climate of cancel culture, so might be offensive. I'm going to press on with it anyway.
Offensive in the sense that, like, it is kind of. I came across this song in like the depths of, East Coast American Italian culture.
Right. Okay.
And it's a celebrated song. I believe it is also in The Godfather.
Okay.
It's a song at the wedding, but it is a very enjoyable song, very upbeat, and very, very annoying after a while. And I wouldn't be surprised if in some places they use this as a form of torture.
Yeah. Yes. And needling your opponent is a big part
Exactly,
of it.
And I didn't really think of that, but this is also a part of that.
Yeah, true.
I think the lamest answer for most countries is the national anthem, but not for France. Because the French national anthem is incredible, isn't it?
England go 1-up in the last minute. Right! Da, da,
Yeah, exactly.
Da, da, da.
But what a difference with da 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 da.
Yeah,
da,
fair. They've got one
yeah.
there. What about, though, if... Because, like, let's be honest, I think I speak on behalf of a lot of people when I say, like, playing We Are the Champions when you've won.
Lame.
But if you score late on... No, if you score late on and the game is still in play and you play We Are the Champions, that's big leagues. I think that changes it.
Yeah.
You're singing We Are the Champions and you've just got a goal up.
You invite disaster.
You do.
Yeah.
But you have to respect it on some level.
I like your set list idea.
Yeah. It's got to be for different moments in the game. You can't have one song fits all.
Can I take the idea a little bit further than
Please?
that and suggest that individual penalty takers have their own songs
go on.
that soundtrack each penalty?
Like walk-on music.
Well, as the penalty is happening. So
don't say Hey
if
Jude
if you're one of those guys who does the sort of like, ooh, when am I going to take it? The stuttering run up.
Yeah.
Pink Panther theme.
Nice.
The sneakiest song ever written.
I like that.
I think that get in the goalkeeper's head.
Yeah. Or if you commit an absolute act of robbery and you score a last minute winner, like just completely against the runner play, whatever, or even if indeed you've just won the game, then I think it's called The Race. I'm not sure, but a film that I often love to reference on this pod. Nuns on the Run. The theme tune. Da 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 da. If you've just got out of there with an absolute heist of a victory.
So at the end rather than with the goal.
Well, I think you can do both.
Because with the goal,
I mean, you're presuming that there's no reply.
Just the manager be like, everyone, stay switched on, and they're just like. You can't be too catchy.
Come on.
Because
but you would be bent over laughing. It's so fun. Like,
that's not good, is it? Right.
The day the laughter died, is it?
Well, just hold on and play at the end.
Right, fine. Anyway, you've got my set list. There you go. Any more for any more?
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
We would adore to have follow-up on this.
Yeah,
Germany, 99 Red Balloons. I just went through a list of songs that I associate with different countries.
I do like the one that you said for Italy because I've now got the tune in my head.
Yeah, right.
Because you used it when Chloe Kelly had just mugged off Italy at the Euros. And I know this is very I'm not talking about myself, but it's a little bit self-indulgent. I'm going to talk about what Vish put on Instagram. It was brilliant. It was that wonderful photo of Chloe Kelly running away. The penalty was saved, and then she got the rebound.
Yeah.
And she's running off, doing that. Just calm down, everybody. It's okay. And all the Italian defenders and goalkeeper like in anguish, and she's just running like slight smug look on her face, going, "Calm down." And Vish put, what was it? Me putting cheddar on bolognese, and everybody in Italy in the background. Because it does improve spaghetti bolognese.
It does, yeah.
And it improves most things. All right, coming up after this, should the championship playoffs be expanded? Gentlemen, we've had quite the correspondence from Matthew in California here, who messages this. You discussed goal-scoring records on the latest preview show after Austria beat San Marino 10-0, and every outfield player scored or assisted. While playing youth football in Wales for a team called Hey St Mary's, I think I may have experienced something similar. The away team, Nelson Sports Club, arrived in a fancy team bus, all dressed in matching tracksuits, accompanied by a similarly attired coach and even a kit man. As you can imagine, we were all quite intimidated by this sight, as we were at best a ragtag bunch of misfits and local lags. And you totally get, when a team arrives and they look professional, you're like, oh, blimey, we're on for something here. Within the first 3 minutes of play, our worst fears were confirmed when we gave away a needless penalty, which they converted. Fast forward to half time. Well, we had recovered well enough to be 25-1 up. I had to read that about 3 times. 25. Our coach at the time kept warning us not to get too cocky as they will catch us on the break, to which someone said, what, 25 times?
Yeah. It's an absolutely redundant lesson, that, isn't it?
I was like, it's like when I've been on the end of some hidings before. I can remember youth football, you'd be 12, 15-0 by these teams. There was one team was like a feeder club for, I think, Hibs, you know, in the league and so on. And you think, absolutely hammered. And it was the reverse. Our lads are going, come on, lads, we just need a goal to get back in this game. And it's like 20 minutes left for 12.
There's a thing that happens in youth football as well, isn't there? I remember a team I played for, and there was a team, I think they were called Great Danes, who were like... They were just men.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, have you all had the same growth spurt on the same day? Because I'm like, oh my, like,
they're all
they are
shaving
going
before
to murder
kickoff.
us.
And
Yeah,
You're like 8 years old, yeah. He said, we ended up winning 33-1. Every player on our team, including subs, scored. We even took the goalie out so he could get one, which he eventually did after missing 4 sitters. Our forwards scored 8. I was left back and got 4 myself.
Wow.
Numerous people scored braces and hat-tricks. All in all, we squeaked through that one.
Yeah. I'd like to hear from anyone who played for Nelson Sports Club to see how you ended up with so much, you know, such a professional setup for such poor output.
I want to know, did they always shit themselves when they took the lead? It's quite the opposite of shutting up shop, that, isn't it?
We scored too early.
Oh, man,
33-1.
It's always the one I don't get. Again, I've been in games where we'd lost like 15-1. How did we get that one? It doesn't make sense. There we are. Very little does these days, Vish.
No, but hopefully this email from Phil will make sense. What's your opinion on the rumoured expansion of the Championship playoffs from 4 teams to 6 teams? Do you think it's a good idea, or just diluting the product even further if a team that's finished 8th can be promoted to the Premier League?
I don't like it.
You don't?
No. I think that a lot of people are using that word diluted, and I think that's probably about right. The 8th team potentially going up. The Championship playoffs, or all the playoffs, I understand were a little bit controversial at the time, but I think most people would say it's worked. So I suppose the argument is it's unfair on the team that finished 3rd, and a lot of people were against it at the time. And then they brought it in, and it's been a success. So why wouldn't this do that? But I do think, though, that sometimes you can get something right and then just leave it. And I think football is mainly like that in terms of the rules and so on. And tournament setups. I think generally speaking, it just requires little tweaks. But you might argue this is a little tweak, but Championship playoff, there's a lot of games in a Championship season. To add another 1 or 2, I think that's a bit much.
Bit of context on the format of how this would work.
Go on.
Is that the teams who finish 3rd and 4th are automatically in the semis. Then there are 2 eliminator games to determine who else makes it in. And I think that probably dilutes it less, greases the pole further for those in 5th and 6th who've got, who it becomes much harder for. And the games they're one-off games and they happen at the home of the higher ranked club. So I think that's an interesting sort of quirk to those rules. I understand what you're saying, but I do think, given the journey you'd have to go on if you were the 8th placed finished team to then get promoted into the Premier League, it would be a hell of an achievement. You'd have to, it would be an achievement in itself. And I think, from an entertainment perspective, it's bound to be great. I imagine if they bring it in, regardless of the heartbreak of the clubs who don't make it up, it will probably be popular. It will probably stay.
Fixture congestion would be a bit of a thing come May. I'm not like, I wouldn't be appalled if they brought it in. And I know that in the National League, they extended the playoffs, but that was. But again, as someone was making the argument, you go from one team going up, which is the league winner, which does kind of stifle it a bit. Yeah. Especially if they run away with it. They then have that agreement with the Football League where they open it up to 2 teams. And I think that was right to then have their little playoff spot or do it as they do. If it was to go to 3 teams, though, which I don't think it will, but if it were, I don't think you would have to change it that much. I feel that, I don't know what it is. I think it is just right the way it is, because especially now, and maybe, I don't know, is it wise to make decisions based on specifically the last 2 years of the Premier League, but maybe this season will blow it out of the water if 2 of the promoted sides can stay up. But
that's only a fairly recent trend.
Well, this is why I put the caveat in there saying that. I just wonder if, again, seldom do I feel that the team finishing 8th in the Championship was ready to go up to the Premier League.
But
some people will immediately argue and say, well, whether ready or not, you go up there, you take the payments, you just get stuck in.
And the summer is a hugely important part.
I mean, as you can see, as I'm saying this, I am sort of pondering it because I think this is a tough one. And whatever they decide, I wouldn't sort of I wouldn't feel too aggrieved, even if my team was down there.
I mean, you've supported Fulham while they've been in the Championship.
Yeah.
If Fulham were in the Championship this season, surely a further route into promotion would be welcome, right?
Well,
because it's tempting for me to sit here and go, I think it'll be way more entertaining when I'm not likely to have a dog in the fight anytime soon, hopefully ever. And I do wonder if people who are supporters of Championship clubs would think, actually, this perhaps kind of affects the integrity of the league. But also, it's entirely plausible that they might think, we do want to get promoted, and this makes that a bit easier.
Yeah, it does. You're right. I mean, I think that if you're a side who have gone down from the Premier League and you're floundering away as Forest and Leeds have particularly found over the years, you think if the percentages of you getting promoted are increased that little bit, of course you're going to bite anyone's hand off for that. My point I just keep coming back to is I just think the balance is right at the moment, to be honest with you. I think that if you finish 5th and 6th, and we've got to have another game, that is a bit of a kick in the teeth. But then it was in the 1980s when you finished 3rd and you think, hang on a minute, we've got to go. Because I've seen Fulham finish 3rd in the Championship and play well. And they did indeed, under Scott Parker, go up through the playoffs. And we all accept that. So, I mean, what do you think, Vish, with regard to this?
I know what you mean about keeping it as it is because it's clean and just because these things, or just because there's constant development within the game, not everything needs to be developed further. I would take a bit of an issue with, I suppose, the reticence to have a team from 8th potentially going all the way and getting through, partly because of what Jim said, because the feat to do it would be such that actually it would be impressive even in isolation of the playoffs. But also there hasn't been much difference between 8th and 6th, which is, as it stands, the last playoff position. So last year there was only 2 points splitting Bristol City and Millwall. The season before that there was 4 points between Borough and Norwich City, and then the season before that there was only 1 point between Millwall and Sunderland, who finished 6th. So once you get that far down, what ends up happening with the Championship, and I appreciate this is more in recent times because of the Premier League thing that you mentioned before about the parachute payments, is the top 2 or top 3, they're in a league of their own. And then often you have these weird, maybe 1 or 2 floating teams in the actual playoff places themselves who've
timed it really well.
Yeah, or just like aren't, will come into the last 2 months of the season pretty much guaranteed of a playoff spot, and then the people fighting for that last spot. So I don't think there's, there'll be too great a disparity between 8th and 6th at that part of the season. But I do agree with you, this seems a bit cleaner. And while you are giving a bit more insurance, well, actually no real insurance. It's the same as it was for the teams in 3rd and 4th as it were with the Championship. But there is a bit more jeopardy for the other 2 teams.
I mean, I understand when you say there's not that much difference between 8th and 6th, but I do think there's a big difference between 8th and 3rd, and I think it's too much of a difference. I think that's at the point. Again, I go back to that word diluted, because again, because you could then go, well, actually the top 12 go through, but the 12th and 12th to 7th don't play the 3rd. It's kind of like, and that's where the dilution is, clearly. If you look at the way they do it in Major League Soccer with the 2, East and West divisions, what is it, the top 8 that go through? I think the majority of teams go through the league that qualify into the playoffs and all that for a chance to win the MLS Cup than there are the majority of teams in each division, in each conference is the word I'm looking for. Now that's the way they do it, and I've not got any particularly strong opinion on that. But again, like
very different format.
Well, a very, very different format, yeah. But I'm just sort of saying to you that again, like if you go to 8, are we then going to start talking about 12 or whatever in the future? And this is my point: is I just feel that they've got it right. Because again, when I started saying that, Jim, you kind of sort of turned your nose up and went, well, 10 and 12. So you're saying that there is a sweet spot?
No. Why I did that was that I think essentially we need to take this question on its merit,
right?
And kind of answer it based on this particular proposal rather than looking ahead to further expansions of it.
But the exercise in doing that was
Because that would never happen in football.
I think they should have the playoffs in Saudi Arabia, personally, but that's a different issue.
I think every team should have the opportunity to get promoted.
Yeah.
And so you play each other once or twice.
There you go.
Then you have a knockout league.
Liking this idea.
And then just whoever's in those positions at the end.
You tally the points up at the end.
Yeah. And then they go into another situation where they play each other again.
Right.
One off.
Uh-huh.
Then you just keep going.
Keep going.
Until someone's like, I can't be asked.
Should we have another
and
league?
They should be promoted because they get it.
So should we have another league in between the Premier League and the Championship, which is called like Premier League Purgatory? If you get relegated,
they actually do have that in the NBA. They have an in-season tournament, which is just the same teams playing against each other, which then goes towards their final standings.
Pointless.
It's absurd. It's American stuff. They don't get.
But why have you not grown out of this?
I've grown out of it.
You watch the NBA all the time.
Yeah, I know, it's fun.
It's like WWF or WWE now. You watch it when you're a kid, you move on from it.